Yo, guys, this is Sven with another day of the 7 day Fund Fast series. Day number 4, your investment opportunity. Um, this will be super interesting, and I think this will bring you a lot of inspiration to think differently, right? A lot of times when we are going out for the hunt for funds, we have our investment documents. We're so swamped up in our business that by times we don't really think about, is our opportunity sexy enough? Now, and within our accelerator, one of the things that we always do is, how can we create an opportunity that is just so good that investors are queuing up with you? And then today I want to seed some ideas and some insights, and between the lines share some tips and strategies how you can do that. So in the coming 40 minutes, let's rumble together. And of course, it's my big goal to really, when you are running on the treadmill, sitting in the car, reading a book, feeling a little bit annoyed or something, those moments where we are thinking about all of the stuff that is mattering in our business, that we are start pondering on how we can improve that. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now, so what is an investment opportunity, right? It's the holy grail why an investor will consider and make an investment in your company. We need to know one thing. If you would be the only one knocking the door of the investor and ask them, hey, I have an amazing opportunity here, would you like to invest? And that investor has like a bag full of cash, he will jump onto you because you're the only one and he needs to do something with his mind and with his money. Now, that's unfortunately not the case. What we have to deal with is that we are competing with many different options that this investor has. Options to invest in other startups, options to choose other financial instruments that can help him to grow his money, because investors want to grow their money. Yes, they love you, but their real goal is they want to grow their money. And once you can make sure that you can grow their money for them, then the secondary and third and fourth motivations why he wants to invest in you, maybe a nice guy, maybe a nice lady, maybe something that's like a product or service that he feels very much attached to. All of those matters start playing a role. But if your initial investment opportunity is not dialed in correctly, not sexy enough, not hot, not wanted, then you're missing out, right? So without a compelling investment opportunity, your fundraising efforts will not pay off. And even you notice by now that if you have prepared everything very well, but mediocre in your opportunity, then still you're competing with a lot of people. Let me give you one example. If we both know the concept of a red ocean and a blue ocean, right? The red ocean means that if a lot of suppliers, companies doing exactly the same and serving the same customers, so there's a heavy competition, they have actually only one way to compete with each other, which is on price, which is a war, a fight, for those who have the longest breath or have the deepest pockets. If you move your business into a blue ocean, which is the counterpart of the red ocean, it means that you do things differently, right? you are distancing yourself from the competition, you're doing things differently, then you become automatically more known. I mean, a good visual here on this slide would be a sea full of boats, fishing boats, and they're all fishing in the same pond. Just imagine yourself. You have thousands of fisher boats into a very small lake or piece of the ocean. Or you have a blue ocean, and there's one big fishing boat, and he takes up all of the fish. So my lesson here is that you first of all need to position your business as much as possible into a blue ocean. And a lot of times you can do this through wording. But second of all, we also want to position our business for the investor as well into a blue ocean. So make a note, position yourself in a blue ocean for the investor. Yeah. And then your fundraising efforts will start paying off. I also write that down. I always have this stuff in my mind, and I need to write it down so I can help people better. So creating an investment opportunity, let's go deep, means in general, you offer another party a tangible or intangible asset for sale, right? So an investment opportunity means, hey dude, I have a great opportunity for you. Hey amigo, I have a great investment opportunity for you. It means that that person offers you something that we can hold, tangible, or something intangible that is up in the air, let it be a software whatsoever. And in this case, when we're raising capital, it's a lot of times your business, right? So you are selling a piece of your equity. Remember the last chapter that we had in the 7-day fund fast series, for sale. Now, the more sexy your offer is, the more you can drive intrigue that what you offer is totally going to crush it and creates a return, then people will queue up for you. Together as well, once you have identified the asset, you're going to determine together a take price or buying price to acquire a part of all of that asset. Now, in this case, you're looking for investment, which means you're selling a piece of your pie, a piece of your cap table, a piece of your shares towards the investor. And once you sell the full company, of course, that's more than 50%, right? So you're giving away the control. Now, then you determine or speculate together a future value for that investment. So, hey amigo, I have got a great investment opportunity. I offer you to invest $250,000 for 10% of the company, where the opportunity or likability that you get a 10x return is 70%. By the way, I'm offering you as well perk 1, perk 2, perk 3, perk 4. Do you get it? So you motivate why your deal is amazing. Now, very clearly, and my following examples I'm going to share with you make all of the sense. Investment opportunity is to serve the other party to make a profit in return in the future, or otherwise in the nearby future, right? So we are making an investment and we are expecting a return. But you know as well that if you're making an investment in something, then you start to digest in your own mind, how much guarantees can I offer, or is this person offering me, so that return is becoming more and more secure. Now, and I always like to share this with all of my clients, typically what we do is we're creating three different angles, where we are funding our fundraising activities on. One, we are creating an amazing investment opportunity. Two, we're building trust and confidence and online authority. And three, we are typically de-risking the opportunity as much as possible. Now, and I challenge you yourself the same. Let's say a friend comes to you and he has an amazing business. You know this already for a while. And he says like, hey, I need some additional cash. And I'm offering you 10% in my business for $100,000, where the $100,000 will be multiplying into $500,000 in the coming 3 years, but I will pay you back the $100,000 within 1 year. Now you think, my goodness, within 1 year I get $100,000 back, so I haven't invested anything, and then I have my shares, plus I will get as well in overtime a 5x on our money. You think, point number one, that's an amazing opportunity. Now, sometimes things get too good to be true, right? You know these kind of too good to be true deals. So what do we do naturally? Naturally, we're really going to discuss. So naturally, we're really going to ask ourselves, is this person trustable? Does this person give me confidence? What is known about this person? How sure is it that this person is going to do that, right? Now, and once we tackle that specific question, then we're moving straight away into, oh my God, what can go wrong? And that's the de-risking part. So I hope this makes sense. And the same step is that what the investor does with you. So just to make it very simple, investment opportunities are offered each day to all of us. And you think like, what? Really? Yes, Sven, really. So very simple, friend and or family loan. Can I borrow X money? I will pay you back Y. Fine. I will borrow cash and I will pay you back. And maybe there's an interest, maybe there's an additional payment. Who knows, right? But the fact is, this is an investment opportunity. Or that lovely real estate agents that say, hey, by the way, your house looks really cool. Do you want to return by renting out your house? I have a potential renter. And you think like, hey, I'm living somewhere else. The house is empty. How much is this person going to pay? So then you create an additional opportunity to make cash. Or, for example, the bank. You may lend $10,000 against 8% interest. The bank is not really giving you any opportunity, but in this case, the bank is enjoying their own opportunity. Hey, you may lend $10,000 against 8% interest. Or, hey, by the way, Sven, save your $25,000 for 12 months and you will receive 3% in return, right? Also considered investment opportunities. And what about the stock market? Hey, take out this government bond for 3 years and receive 4%. That's an investment opportunity. Invest in this mutual fund or exchange traded fund, ETF, and enjoy a 12% upside per year. That's an investment opportunity. Buy stock X, wait for 6 months, sell for Y. That's an investment opportunity. Hey, by the way, this cryptocurrency will give you a 200% gain. That's an investment opportunity. Now, what do we two talk about today is angel, VC, and startup investments. Invest in my ride-sharing company, risk to lose your investment, or leapfrog to 100x return in 7 years. Ooh, that is interesting, but it comes with risk, right? So when we go all the way from banks, all the way up to startups, that is determining the risk or growing the risk. And the question is, how much risk do you want to take? How much risk does your investor likes to take by investing in your company? So, very short, each investment is about risk versus return. And maybe this is something simple. You think like, dude, I know this. I'm sure you know this, right? But I want you to think about it. You are asking an investor to go with you on a date and ask them to jump in a marriage with you, yeah, where you promise that you made this person happy, where you promise that you're going to make a return. And you need to know that person if you're just sitting relaxed and do you want to invest in my company? No, you need to build an opportunity, build the confidence, and de-risk it so you make sure it's a risk versus return game that plays out very well for you. So the lower the risk, the lower the return. The higher the risk, the higher the return. Now, let's go over this small little table that I made for you. And before going over it, I just want to share quickly. Each individual that calls himself an investor, is looking to let their money work for them. The biggest scam on the planet, sorry to share my beliefs, is putting your money in the bank. I can talk about ages for it, but that's not wise. You want to minimize your cash in the bank and do other things, right? So each investor is interested in growing their money, and depending their risk appetite, they are choosing their financial instruments: bank, bonds, rental income, ETF, stocks, angels, startups, crypto, and based on that, they are determining how much risk do I want to carry. So if someone has $1 million, it's very likely that they are looking for a combination of financial instruments, assets that they can put their money in. So they get in return an average yearly return of, let's say, 12, 13%, and they're happy with it. But hey, there are also people that say like, no, I dare to take more risk, and therefore they choose other financial instruments. Now, in our world, where individuals invest in angel rounds or VCs invest in, series, pre-series, pre-seed series, seed series, pre-series A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Whatever how big the round is, and they are looking for returns. And the venture capitalists that you're working with, the private equity that you're working with, they investing the money from someone else, and they are making a promise to that investor, right, to give a return. But you need to know as well, the investor that invests in the VC or in the private equity, they have amongst that investment also many other financial instruments, and they're choosing to invest in these asset classes for the simple reason that they believe it could create a massive return for them. So not all of their wealth get invested there. Now, the point I want to make really here is that you cannot just be cool, right, and just step into the room. No, if you jump into the mindset of an investor and you prepare your fundraising accordingly, and you know that he has other opportunities, and you know that you get compared, then you start doing things differently. And sorry again if some of the items are a little bit basic here, but it's very important to understand the basic basic understanding. So if you invest in a bank, you get 1 to 3% interest per annum, and that differs very much where in the world. So if someone has $200,000, it means he will get a result of $2,000 to $6,000. If that person is happy with it, sure, he will go ahead. Then he could say like, no, I dare to take a little bit more risk. I trust the government, take a bond, and I will get suddenly $6,000 as a result over investing my money. Now, if someone is renting out his property it could be between 18 and 15, generates a $16,000 to $30,000 in return on their money. Is it an ETF? It becomes $20,000. Is it the stock market, especially when it's a bull run? It's between 12 and 17%, which comes at someone invests $200,000 and becomes 24. Let's make a quick calculation here. Sorry, yeah. $1,200,000 times 70%. Oh my God, this fucking iPhone always is 34,000. So between 24K to 34,000. Or the angels and startups, they expect a return 20 to 30% per year, which means by exiting that company later on in 10 years from now, their investment of 200,000 should return at least, let's say $800,000 or whatever on top of that, right? And then we have the crypto, for example, it could be more than 100%, is 200,000. Now, you see here, the guy you're talking with, right, he has more options. And he's choosing to park part of his cash into startups. Let it be an individual as an angel, let it be a private limited company as a VC or private equity firm. So his odds to invest in you are as good as you presented to them, right? And of course, you're also starting your company to create freedom and wealth for yourself, so you better design your investment opportunity in the right way. The key concept here is that each investor would like to let their money work for them. And investors target through startup investing to get a 20% return or more per year on their investment. So if investors are borrowing $1 million to you, their expectation is that after 10 years, that $1 million have at least created a $6 million plus as a return. I hope that makes sense, right? So it means that your business needs to be big enough and needs to offer security. Now, and they will look for always how to reduce the risk as much as possible, right? AKA the risk, de-risking the opportunity. Identifying and analyzing and reducing the risk is in the head of every investor that evaluates the investment opportunity of any kind. So the startup is a very risky investment. That's the key concept here. So you need to know, whatever you have an e-commerce, whatever you have a SaaS, whatever you have a marketplace, whatever you have a agri-tech, ed-tech, whatever it is, it's risky. And it's imperative to understand that startup investment is the highest risk out there, right? So if it's the highest risk, you should and are obligated to it to help your investor understand that you're a really great lady or a great guy, right? That you know what you're doing and that you help him de-risk the opportunity. The younger the startup, the more the risk, the more mature the startup and proven, the less risk. So you see when startups start maturing that money flows easier because there are historical numbers and there is more analysis possible, right, than early stage startups. Now, and if you're in a position that you have, for example, some additional ways how you can reduce the risk, then do so. In the last days of the 7-day Fund Fast series, otherwise go back, we also choose to, if it's possible, acquire assets in your business because it makes your business more trustable, right? You have something to fall back to. So the game of us founders is played by balancing between reducing the risk while making sure the potential upside and return is great. Now, the inside is that you're competing with 100,000 plus entrepreneurs who are committed to seduce the investors to invest in their business. Now, and of course, you can imagine if your investor relationships are good, if your opportunity is great, if you have de-risked everything, if you do the right thing at the right time, which we are teaching in the accelerator, so bang me up for a call, then 100% it will deliver that your opportunity gets picked up. So that's the blue ocean. You put yourself away from the rest of the half mediocre people who are sometimes just a waste of time. The key is to lead with an amazing opportunity, build confidence and trust, and de-risk the opportunity where you can. And I really would like to help you stop the video and ask yourself, how can I make from my current business the best, most sexy, hot and wanted opportunity in town? How can I build more confidence online? How can I build more confidence through my communication? How do I build more trust, right? Then you're questioning yourself, what is currently in my business a bit out of balance? What is risky? What can I add to reduce that risk? So when fundraising, 90% of the founders are focused on their business, but not actually creating an unbeatable offer for their investors. And again, I'm highlighting this. The investor wants to make money. And you need to know, key insight, an investor needs to invest to make money. So he looks for the best opportunity. How easy is it for you to really generate and create the best opportunity, right? It's not that difficult, guys, but you really need to sit down and take your time and your brain power to really put yourself inside of the mind of the investor. And for those of you who are in our Facebook group, I was posting a quote where it says, like, in order to get invested, invest in your investor. And what I mean with that is that we need to not only think about us, but we need to think, how can I make this for them something that is unbeatable and proven? So some examples, right? One bad thing is, for example, founders' arrogance and bad authority is not delivering an amazing opportunity. If the founder haven't mapped out the fundraising journey, which leads to inconfidence and surprises. If you don't take the time to map out your fundraising and know when to do what, you're missing out on these three major bricks, which is your confidence, your trust, your de-risking the opportunity. If you have an incomplete data room, which comes on the last part of your journey, you will destroy the trust that you have been building. So fix that, right? As the deliverables are not complete. You have improperly prepared and you're unknowledgeable about the process. Invest time to understand how it's being done. It's, for example, an unvalidated business with hardly customers and healthy economics. That's very risky. If your economics are not correct, and with economics I mean the way you attract customers, the way you convert them, the way you deliver them, and the way you collect your money, that needs to be a flow, and the flow should be scalable. Or in the worst, if there's nobody who wants to pay the price for your product or services, then you're also screwed, right? Or if there's no skill possible, you're also screwed. So it's good to step back and see, what can I change? Improper research that leads to the wrong assumptions. I see this time and time again. Let me give a sip of water. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Get a dry mouth from all the talking. So a lot of times in the deck, when we do market research, when we discuss about our competition, we do half research. A good example is when we do market research, it's very superficial. We haven't really figured out what is our total addressable market, all of that stuff. We just go with the first Google search and we use that information. That's not really how we should do it. incomplete stack of investment documents that paints the wrong picture or disqualifies the opportunity. So of course, if you're just going out with your pitch deck, yeah, if that's the opportunity, if that's your first moment of contact, right? Is that really going to paint the opportunity well? So many times I see pitch deck that are ugly, full of words, not structured well, contain way too much text. Founders want to share everything in one shot because they're afraid, like, okay, hey, no, but we will discuss this in the next, I think it's the next one, in day 5 of the Fund Fast series, the investor seduction lane. If you structure all of your documents carefully, you want to build up the momentum, right? You want to think about the previous chapter, like the comparison with dating your love. If you just throw up this pitch deck and it's not compelling and it doesn't, you're competing with so many people. No, you want to tease and please. And while you're tease and please, you want to give that opportunity. There's not a constant building of investor relationship, and the list goes on. So in short, founders are gambling. And I cannot tell you enough and emphasize it enough. And because I talk so much about this, and I meet so many founders, and I evaluate so many pitch decks, sometimes I really think, like, did you really do your homework? And I have a trick for you guys. Many actually don't do their homework. So if you do things differently, right, then you stand out. Now the question is, do you want to do things differently? Do you want to stand out? How badly do you want this? Right? And if you go that extra mile, like I always say, sweat more in training and shed less blood in war, then it just gets super powerful for you in order to drive the compelling opportunity. And therefore also, 75% of our accelerator clients raises capital successfully. It can be anywhere from sometimes a part of their round, as small as 50,000, 100,000, 30,000, even 1 million, 2 million, all of these numbers. It's all about getting well prepared and help them along the way. So book a call to discover if you can join to avoid these expensive mistakes. And sometimes you also need to ask, and it took me a long while to really get a hold on this. I mean, I'm now 40 years old, but I think around I was 35, 34, I really started to understand that having insights from someone who has already done it dozens of times is not only saving me time, but also my personal frustration and eventually your wallet. That's the same like a beautiful quote that I live by. If you think a professional is expensive, wait until you hire an amateur. And yes, sometimes cheap labor people are nice for our wallet, but the amount of time we need to give them, the amount of additional guidance, the amount of correction, it's just killing our brain, right? And it's truly my mission and vision to help more founders just go faster, right? So if you're really keen, go to day 7, watch the video, what you will can expect in our program, and take the jump, right? I mean, if you're serious in this, investing a few $1,000s and getting a magnet in return of that, that's just something that you should consider, in my opinion. So, how do we build an amazing opportunity? So we're 34 minutes along the way. I hope you're still with me. I hope this is really valuable stuff for you guys. As you know, I'm talking between the lines with examples that pop up in my mind to just seed that how in your brain, right? So your goal is to really get more interest than you can handle. And later on in the 7-day Fast Fund series, and it's one of my favorites, getting oversubscribed. That's the way how you get funded. So stay tuned until day 6 even, right? It's just going to change everything for you.
Our goal is to get more interest than you can handle. Now, that starts with having enough investors. Please go to the investment cash calculator to calculate your investors. But even if you have built that investor list, if your opportunity is not good enough, then everything goes to dust, right? So very important that you create the ultimate investment opportunity. So ask yourself, what does my investor want? Remember, in order to get invested, you need to make an investment in your investor, right? What does my investor want? How can I make my opportunity really wanted? Now you know that this lady or this gentleman wants at least a 20% return. How can you stand out with a better performing deck? How can you stand out with being in the blue ocean? How can you stand out with a better team? Also ask himself, know that he needs to take risk. How can I reduce the risk? So a great example is this. Always fundraise with an investor exit in mind. You know this person is in for money, right? And too many times founders knock the door and they don't even know that sooner or later they need to sell their company. And of course you want that, because you're not only here for the financial gain on a monthly basis after a while, but you hope to sell your business and enjoy ultimate freedom, right? Therefore, it's amazing. It's an amazing journey. So we want to show this investor that, hey, dude, I have cash that you can make because I'm in a very interesting market and these are my potential buyers. So investors are not in the game for charity, but for money. And no investor wants their cash to be stuck in a business. So give opportunities for them to exit. Now, there are many things that you can do, but if I just give you one tip, for example, maybe you want to pay back his money and therefore take less equity. I'm sure you didn't think about it because a lot of founders say like, hey, take 20% of my equity for X amount of money, but maybe you can pay back part of the equity and therefore he's happier and therefore you own way more of your company. Or go back to the previous day, I think it was day 3, where we're going to discuss like, okay, you can attract other financial instruments to keep more skin in the game. You just need to know that in startup fundraising, the general partner, which is the managing director of the VC firm, needs to make a promise to his boss, the limited partner, to return his investments with profit within 7 to 10 years, right? So also you need to know that your business needs to be sold within 7 to 10 years. Hence why we're making our financials at least between 3, 5, or 7 years. And of course, sometimes it's very difficult, right, to make financials 5 years ahead. And it's not so much if you know into detail what you can do, because the truth is, Excels are just bloody fucking bullshit, right? That you can project and estimate 1 year ahead, fine. You can estimate 2 years ahead, maybe. But the investor wants to know the way you think, the way you want to scale. And he wants to see what could be the potential what could be the potential valuation of your company, right? So identify early on potential candidates that could take interest acquiring your company and shares, and communicate that vocally or otherwise in your pitch deck. Vocally, I mean like in your pitch, right? Have all of your questions ready. And this is something we discuss in detail in the accelerator. Price your investment opportunity super effective. So it becomes an offer the investor cannot refuse, right? Very important. And with price your investment opportunity, I mean, remember that we opened up this presentation today, said like, okay, hey, do you want to get 10% of my company for $500,000? And I will give you this and this and this, right? So, or if you say, hey, you get 3% of the company for $500,000, and the guy thinks like, out of your bloody mind, hell no, yes, no, right? So we need to structure this well. So therefore, we're creating different kind of valuation methods to create more like a benchmark of our valuation. Then we decide how much could this investor be in interest for us? What does he bring to the table, right? And then it will generate, better interest and more attractivity. So don't overdo your company valuation. I just made that clear with the 3%. Offer first mover benefits. Investors that make the first move. Let's say you're investing $500,000. It doesn't. You want to have the first sheep over the dam, right? Or how does the saying go? Then you could say like, hey, if you join me right now, you get a 10% discount on the valuation. That could be an interesting first mover advantage. Or a discounted price on the shares, or investment paybacks while you're growing. Make it sexy. Put yourself. If I was the investor, what would be a great deal? I mean, just by starting with that, you will become more in line and sync with your investor. So that's going to make all of the difference. Pay interest over the investment while giving away less equity. Another option. In other words, help your investor make the decision. Help your investor have a reason to invest. You want to de-risk the opportunity. And you do this, and now all of the holy grail comes by solving a real pain in the market. Be a medicine. Go to the Facebook page, the Get Funded Formula Facebook page, and look for medicine in the search bar. Be a medicine, and not a vitamin. Very crucial. A vitamin is a nice to have, a medicine is a must to have. Try to create or shift your business to a must have product that everybody needs. Give him or her reasons why it's now the time to invest and not in a year. So create that urgency, very important. Otherwise, he will choose someone else above you. Offer a disruptive solution, that is fixing the problem on scale. So try to de-risk that you're doing something differently. Again, you're more in the blue ocean that is fixing the problem on scale. Yeah. By being active in a large market with many available buyers. That your product service is disruptive, innovative, and scalable, aka different. So go for disruption. See how you can actually literally scale your business easily, right? So through technology or whatsoever, right? I think that's a very important point. Demonstrate your business has revenue coming from real customers. Make sure that you have enough milestone achievements partnerships, like right? We're naming that our authority checks. That's a term that I coined myself, which we're going to talk in the next session of the 7-Day Fast Fund series, which is called the Investor Seduction Lane. Super important that you check that. By the way, I hope you like my energy, right? I'm just trying to be myself. Very important for me, and that's the best learning method. I want you to be 10 times better than your competition. So think about how can I be 10 times better? So the investor think like, hey, these guys, these ladies are 10 times better. So it will make an unbeatable opportunity with enough edge. Have a team in place that can execute on the mission and plans. A weak team of C players is not getting the shit done. So together with a credible board of investors and advisors to cope with your flaws. That your business is not only a product. A product is not a business. We want to create a product suite so we have the opportunity to ascend people actually up in our business. That your financial house is in order. Too many times I see that there's a discrepancy between the pitch deck and the financials. I mean, this is just the same like standing on thin ice. Your investor is going to ask your financials and there's completely other numbers. That's why in the accelerator, one of the things I always teach is like data room first, pitch deck last. Very important. Data room means as well your financials. The hotter and more wanted the investment opportunity your win is that the less you need to give away on terms you don't like. So by doing all of these things that I'm just discussing with you, you become more hot, more wanted. You communicate the right things. You're in the blue ocean. Your win is that the less you need to give in on terms you don't like. What you can see is that an investor opportunity is partly actually identified in the pitch deck. So the points that I just walked you through are the same structure of your pitch deck, right? And the pitch deck is actually nothing more than a very comprehensive elaboration of your investment opportunity. Your first slide always starts with your investment opportunity. So what you learned today is that your investment opportunity exists of your deal. What's the deal to the world? What's the offer that you bring to the investor? What's the why? And how can you motivate that why? Almost influence the why of your investor. Why to invest? Influence the why to invest. So if you stop this video and you would say, like, what could be methods to do so? The question you need to answer is, how can I make an opportunity they cannot refuse? Or how can I build authority, confidence, and trust so the investor knows I'm the better deal? Or how can I help my investor to de-risk the investment opportunity so she will select me above the others? Once you take the time to design each aspect that impacts their perspective about you and your company, that, my dear friends, you are on your way to get funded. So let me repeat that one more time. Once you take the time to design each aspect that impacts their perspective, their way of thinking, how they approach your company, that's how you get funded. Now, in the following days of the 7 Days Fund Fast series, we will discuss the investor seduction lane, another term that I coined, which is a whole range, a suite of investor documents engineered on a timeline that you can build that trust, de-risk that opportunity. Below this video, you see a Facebook comment button, right? So if you have any question about this specific topic here, right, then please, my dear friends, click the button and add it there. So we have all of the questions about this lesson compiled there, and I will answer everything that you really would like to know. So if you want to be sure and you want to do things right, and if you want to shortcut the creation of your investment documents, since recently we have introduced a new product which we call the Pitch It Fast Stack, which have, I was so frustrated with making pitch decks, with investment teasers, with elevator pitches. It's a very cumbersome work. By yourself, if you have been doing this, that it takes a lot of time, right? So I created a method through one questionnaire, through automation, through a piece of software, how you can literally finish all of that on investment banking grade level in less than 2 days, right? And below the video as well, you find the link to it. So I would definitely going to check it out, because it makes everything super, super easy for you. And it's affordable, and we're all in the game to make our great impression work. So check that out. Of course, I always end by saying, if you want us to help you go faster, avoid the costly mistakes, and get expert guided how you can engineer around, become a hot and wanted, and get investors lined up, then please feel free to check out our Get Funded Formula Accelerator, which starts from $1,100 in an installment. And if you want to know more, go to day number 7, and we teach you exactly how you can accelerate on this journey. Now, I hope this was, after 49 minutes, extremely valuable for you. And I cannot wait to discuss further with you inside of the Facebook group. If you have specific questions, let me know. And I wish you a very good and amazing day, and let's get funded.